Story. We were sent there in January of 1945, when the war was already breathing its last breaths. Everyone knew Germany was collapsing. They moved every week. Units were advancing, retreating, surrendering. That was why our new orders made no sense. Our squad was pulled from a crumbling defensive line and reassigned to a village deep inside a forested region near the border. No rail junctions. No bridges. No factories. No fuel depots. Nothing of military value. Yet the written order, stamped and signed, said only this: occupy the village. Hold position. No withdrawal under any circumstances. There were 8 of us. 2 armed with carabiner 98K rifles. 3 with MP40 submachine guns. 1 man carrying an MG34, more weight than comfort. A medic with a pistol. And me, carrying another Kar 98K and the field radio, a battered Feldfew that barely worked in cold weather. No armored support. No artillery. No explanation. Arrival. The village looked untouched by war. No shell craters. No scorched walls. No shrapnel scars. Just narrow streets, stone houses, and a small church with a leaning bell tower. Snow covered everything evenly. No tracks, no signs of recent movement. There were no civilians. But also no signs they had fled in a hurry. Beds were made. Chairs pushed in. Dishes stacked neatly. It felt like the village had been paused. We set up positions anyway. The MG34 was placed near the church, covering the forest edge. The rest of us rotated watches, fingers numb inside gloves that no longer kept the cold out. That first night, the forest was unnaturally silent. No owls. No wind. No distant artillery. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the radio crackled to life. Not Morse code. Not voices. Breathing. Slow. Calm. Human. Then silence. No matter how much I adjusted the frequency, nothing else came through. Headquarters didn't answer our calls. The small changes. Over the next days, things began to feel misplaced. An MP40 left leaning against a wall would be resting flat on a table by morning. A crate of 7.92 by 57 mm Mauser ammunition was moved from the cellar to the attic without anyone remembering doing it. The MG34's spare barrel, carefully wrapped, was found unwrapped and warm, as if it had recently been used. But there were no shell casings. No gunfire. No footprints in the snow. One night, the church bell rang once. Only once. No one had touched the rope. Contact at the forest edge. On the 5th night, movement appeared at the tree line. Dark shapes between trunks. We raised rifles and trained the MG34 forward. Through binoculars, my stomach dropped. They were soldiers, wearing our uniforms. Same coats. Same helmets. Same webbing. Even the same weapons. One of them was holding an MG34 in exactly the same way as our gunner. But their faces were wrong. Not wounded. Not dead. Just blank. Calm. Emotionless. We shouted warnings. They didn't respond. Then, as if on command, they turned around and walked back into the forest in perfect unison. That was when headquarters finally answered. Their message came through distorted, but clear enough. Do not engage. Do not pursue. Maintain position. The journal beneath the church. We found it by accident. A loose stone under the church floor led to a small cavity. Inside was a journal, wrapped in oilcloth. It belonged to a platoon stationed there months earlier. The early entries were routine. Cold nights. Ration complaints. Mentions of Panzerfausts they never used and ammunition they never fired. Then the tone shifted. They watch us from the trees. They stand where we stood. They copy our patrol routes. They are learning. The final pages were written in shaking handwriting. They don't kill. They replace. Never trust the head count. 9 men. The next morning, we lined up for roll call. There were 9 of us. We argued. Counted again. Still 9. The extra soldier wore our insignia. Carried a car 98K with the same remarks as ours. Knew our names. Our jokes. Our complaints. None of us remembered him arriving. Headquarters refused evacuation. Their response was short. Remain in position. Observe. That was when we understood. We weren't guarding the village. We were being studied. The final night. That night, the forest figures returned. This time, they didn't stop at the trees. They walked into the village. Each of us stood face to face with our double. They looked healthier, rested, calm. One of them spoke. He had my voice. The war is ending, he said. Someone must go home. At dawn, engines echoed overhead. Transport aircraft. Command's final order came through. Board in pairs. No explanation. I looked at my double. He smiled. As the aircraft lifted off, I looked down. In the village square, soldiers stood in formation. All of them, including one that looked exactly like me. Epilogue. The war ended weeks later. I survived. But sometimes, when I look in a mirror, my reflection feels delayed. Like it's waiting. That village never appeared on any map. No records. No reports. But if you ever hear about a unit ordered to defend something meaningless, ask yourself one thing. Who did they really plan to bring home?